won't mess with you anymore. I'll just keep you right there.
Okay. All right, we are live now. Let's do an official intro. You ready?
Yeah.
You are listening to Musician Today's speaking podcast from Viola. Tune in for your insight into a professional musician's life and awesome new music.
Woohoo! Hi everybody, music warriors and those alike. Welcome to another episode of Musician Today podcast. We're on our 12th episode with another amazing guest today. So before I name our guest, I'd like to introduce him a bit more. So he has a reputation of not only as an accomplished performer, but also as one of classical music's most recognizable online brands. He was recently featured in the Strings magazine, the links are below. He co-hosts his own podcast, Taking Notes, with a co-host Trevor Baumgartner. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Baumgartner. Yeah. It's a hard one. I get that right.
Sorry, Trevor.
I wait for it. It's okay. No, I'll wait for it. It's like so funny.
So he has recently co-interviewed a rock star of the electric violin world, one of my favorite, Matt Bell, and he was also on Matt's show in his Violin Rockstar podcast. So these people are amazing podcasters that I listen to. So our guest is known as That Viola Kid and has a reputation not only as an accomplished performer, but also as one of classical music's most recognizable online brands, and he's profiled in outlets like Thrillist, WNYC, the Detroit Free Press, and Strings magazine. He was named one of the titans of classical music on Instagram by National Sawdust Log and was called the future of our field by the Sphinx organization president Afed Workin. An acclaimed expert in classical music, social media, and brand building, he believes in the power of documentation, building his Instagram following of over 120,000, in part by generating large-scale online movements, including the hashtags #PlayHomiePlay and the Journey to Juilliard. For his effort, he has been interviewed as a paid speaker on various wealth and educational institutions and conferences, including the Hague Conservatory in Holland, Carnegie Hall Studio 57, the Cleveland Institute of Music, Columbia University, the Juilliard School, Mercer University, International Music Sessions in the Hamptons, Project 440, the International Viola Congress, and Sphinx Connect. So, okay, we still have more to go.
Wow, make me sound badass.
Well, it's all the truth. So, always want to seek the stage, our guest maintains an active performing and recording careers. In classical setting, he is a seasoned chamber musician, including performing as a Lincoln Center stage artist, for which he wrote an essay for Strings magazine, as well as national tour with the Sphinx organization as a Sphinx virtuosi. He has a wealth of work as an orchestral musician and soloist, performing as a principal with the Missouri Symphony and a soloist with the National Symphony of the Dominican Republic. Awesome. Also, highly sought after in popular music, he has shared the stage with A-list stars like Alicia Keys, Camila Cabello, Lindsey Sterling, Evanescence, and Josh Groban, among others, and has recording credits with the late Mac Miller on The Divine Feminine. He has also performed on several big budget video game soundtracks, including Final Fantasy VII Remastered, The Zodiac Age, as well as the solo violist, on the Kingdom Hearts tribute album Project Destati Darkness, which reached number 2 on the Billboard classical charts. His own releases include an original rap/viola hybrid single, Duality, that we're gonna hear today, and a collaborative cover of Adele's Hello with Seattle Symphony cellist Nathan Chan. And it received over 500,000 views on YouTube. So our guest is currently based in LA, which is why we're starting a bit late. Sorry, guys. He holds a Bachelor in Music diploma from Mercer University and Master of Music diploma from the Juilliard School, where he was one of 10 students to receive a $20,000 career advancement grant given to those who show significant entrepreneurial promise. He is grateful to his masterful pedagogues, which include Heidi Castleman, Xin Hoon Huang, Becca Alberts, Paul Murphy, and Lawrence Dutton. You can follow him on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook as That Viola Kid. So Wow, finally, welcome, Drew Forde, that Viola kid. Yay, welcome, Drew. How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. That is, it's so funny hearing you say all those things, because like, I forget.
I know, it's interesting. Someone else saying your bio and you're like, wow, who's this person?
It's like, who is that guy? Like, I'm just like in my room chilling, you know?
Nice. Well,
doing laundry.
Well, I remember to do that too. So amazing. So like, first question naturally flows out of this. How do you manage everything? How do you like schedule your busy day?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway that I acquired was like very early. It's from my mom, and she used to always tell me, take it one day at a time. Mm-hmm. And I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by people who are very high achieving, people who have really big goals in life. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times I look to them and realize, oh man, I'm not really doing that much. I need to go ahead and handle that. Well, the way to do a lot of different things, I think, is to also just spend a little bit of time each day doing a little bit of time on everything that you want to advance in. So if you want to be a good guitarist, practice 30 minutes a day. If you want to be a good rapper, practice 30 minutes a day, like rain or shine. And it's the cumulative process over time that really builds.
That's true. I completely agree. Actually, we just heard from Paul the trombonist the exact same thing. Rate each activity and then choose the one that really brings value to your career. Amazing. So
I think that music careers are changing too. You know, the requirements to be successful are changing. And like, I think that like just being good at your instrument is not. It's not enough. Honestly, it's the least interesting part about you.
Yes.
In this age, so find out other ways to be interesting.
Completely agree. Yes. So and it's like you have to not only show your skill, you have to be an entertainer, you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a producer, you have to do everything, right?
To do everything. Yeah.
All right. So here's one of my favorite quotes from your podcast. It says, "Courage can't be courage if there is no fear." So what would you say would be your fear element, like overcoming some struggle when you actually were building your brand? Was there anything that you can share with us?
Yeah, I first want to just say that may be a quotation from our podcast, but a much smarter person said it much better. I don't know who it was, but that was not an original thought.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, it's like, I think I've heard this before in a movie. But I think
Game of Thrones?
I don't know, maybe.
I think it's something by
medieval.
George Martin. Yeah, it's like he said, the only time that a man can be courageous is when he is afraid.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I've been thinking a lot about fear. And the biggest thing that I was afraid of when I started was that people wouldn't like me, or that I would be bad at it. Aww. And both of those came to fruition. No, but the deal is like, you have to start. And I was just so afraid of what I didn't know that I was paralyzed, right? And so I started by and this is so there is something to be said. There are a couple of steps. When you're trying to do something new, you have to grab data. Like, if you want to do it well. And I'm one of those people, because I'm a classically trained musician, I try to do things the quote right way. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, I realized that that's just a lot of BS, and it doesn't exist. There is no one way. There are an unlimited number of ways, right? But my tiny brain, the way I needed to synthesize it was, okay, let me figure out the right way. So then I went to the first stage to beat the fear by smothering the fear with knowledge, with a concept, with the idea of how to do something. And then once I got there and I kind of knew how to do it, then I didn't have any more excuses to not do it. And then fear kind of like kicked in, and I kept trying to learn. And that's the danger too. You can also get into a knowledge black hole where all you do is research, all you do is try to figure out the methodology. And you should stop at some point. Once you kind of know, then you got to do the thing. You've got to do the editing. You've got to do the photography. You've got to do the videography. You've got to do all of the processes that are required. And then you've got to make bad things. And I actually saw this, on a bag. I was in Hawaii. I was playing at the Hawaii Chamber Music Festival last week. Somebody in the green room had a bag on it. It was like a pencil bag or something. And it said, create something today, even if it's bad. And that is the kind of philosophy that I employed. And it was mostly, so I changed my fear from being afraid to be bad or afraid to be disliked into fear of dying in obscurity and broke and with no purpose in life. Because I at the end of my undergraduate studies, I realized, there's nobody handing me a job, and there's nobody even kind of guiding me. All my teachers are like, practice your excerpts. I'm like, but what does that have to do with making money? Practice your excerpts so you can get a job. And I was like, but that job doesn't seem reliable, and those jobs are reducing every year. And I'm real. There are way better players out there. There are thousands of better players than I am. And they're going to get those jobs. I'm not going to get that job, right? And even if I were to get that job, I wouldn't want to stay there for the next 30 years.
Yes.
And so it's probably better for me to stay out, let somebody else who really wants it take that. While I figure out what else is out there.
Amazing. That's true. Like when I think about like the traditional sense of job, like being in an orchestra or teaching for the rest of your life, that's not enough. It's the world is changing so fast that you have to be able to adopt and change and with it.
Well, the world is changing in very profound ways where a lot of things that used to take up a lot of time don't take up a lot of time anymore due to automation, technological advances. So we have a lot of extra time. Yes. But that also means you can develop more skills. Like you can be a great teacher and a great motivational speaker and a great YouTuber and a soloist and a chamber musician. Like you can do it all. It takes a while to get good at all of it, but you have time. That's the one thing, if you're fortunate. And I don't mean to downplay the necessity for survival, and many people are not in my position. I have student loans, yes, but like I'm paying my bills, like just exclusively doing music, and I'm so thankful for it. And many people have to work other jobs, and so they work a day job and then they get home and then usually the day job sucks your life out.
Yeah.
And you don't have any energy, you don't have any willpower to just then focus on your music to then push your career forward, right? And I think that 5 to 9 though is everything. Like just finding a 2-hour block of time after you leave your job to go work on you is huge. And I find that for me, like I'm doing music and I get home and I'm tired, so I'm like, let me watch YouTube. But at the end of the day, the only time to move forward in my career is when I don't submit, when I leave the perspective of being a consumer and go back to being a producer. You can't binge Netflix shows and be a social media sensation at the same time. You can't do it. You really can't.
True. And
yes, I think the work ebbs and flows, and I had a pretty long time to ebb and just kind of like take a step back. But I think that when you want to move forward, you really have to become a producer. You can't be a consumer.
That's true.
It's very different.
That's
different mindsets.
Absolutely. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new responsibility to, like you said, even if you are working a day job, you have to come home and you have to figure things out. How do you use the hours that you're awake, right? So I'm a big Gary fan too, Gary Vee.
Yeah.
I listen to him a lot. Yeah. So what he says, like when you are awake, like people think I don't sleep. I do, but it's those hours when you are awake that matter. So how you use them, that's the key, right? So, and you're right, absolutely. So shifting towards the mode of you produce content, you produce music, you release something into the world that touches other people. Amazing. So why don't we hear one of your fantastic recordings here? Okay, and this is Duality. Enjoy, guys.
Yup, it's TPK. Young kid play some Viola. Yo, chick thick, she feed me trays. Peaches in the chat, that's PDA. I'm so cray. CD slay, fake niggas all day. Is they in my way? Got 3 stacks, like my name Andre. Competition keep it, get it, cause I'm in first place. But I ain't really keep a track when I run this race. My cleats be bigger than the grass, I'm about to get a chase. I'm on that path, you cannot feed them in a foreign land. You've been frozen like you didn't go to eat your hungry man. Duality like light, particle in the wave. Classical rap so nice, it's about to be embraced. I'm just being me, I'll bring you a face. Stuck in your taste in the music, call me outer space. 100 on a dash, on a interstate. Technicolor splash, do it interstate. I'ma serve you wow, all up on your plate. Ooh, I'm swerving now, gotta keep it straight. Cause you don't know how far I've come. I won't stop until I won. Listen to my story now. I chance took choices I thought a dream. Proved much rougher and we're tougher than it seemed. Teach you that he trusted, thought was on his team. Told him you unworthy kid, you'll never make it on the scene. Luckily that kid didn't do much for this kid, cause he knew an opinion wasn't fit to define him. Many years went by without a word from the rich. He went to Juilliard, now ain't that a bitch. Adolescent boy, 12 years old. Hipster kid with the moon high goals. It didn't phase him when the kids were picking vehemence. Knew that one day VMA was gonna pay the dividends. Masters on a partial scholar. Shit, playing for the rules never got him. Shit, Julie was the pinnacle, the victim more than cynical, that higher than the ceiling. But it's gonna take America to pay the bills. That shit give me chills. Evil at my back, that's Professor Queer. You all know the deal, that's no way to live. Say my spilling hard, got no place to give. Cause you don't know how far I've come. I won't stop until I won. You can laugh, that's quite alright. Stay on there, I'm taking
Wow. So that was very different. Like thinking of someone who went to Juilliard, played classical music, plays chamber music, orchestras, and then hearing a rap.
It's all related.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that we have this kind of like perception that hip hop or jazz or funk, country, that it's all different. But like at the end of the day, it's the same 12 tones.
Yep.
Like they're just organized differently. It's all related. And it's all incredibly, when it's well done, it's art. And a lot of people think that classical music is the pinnacle of art, and I'm sorry to say it's not.
It's not.
It's all art. It's just all different. And if you think that anything is less than, then it's just, you just don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I urge you to get that out of your mind and seek to understand, not to be understood.
True. Absolutely, absolutely. As a composer, like I'm inspired by all kinds of stuff, like birds on the street, subway, train, whatever. You can write a song on that. So it's
Squirrels.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by squirrels.
Love those.
You know,
love them the most.
they teach me what it's like to look at people and scheme and plot.
Yep.
Plot world
I
domination.
teach fingerings based on how the squirrel's eating.
Yeah. Squirrels eat their nuts like super methodically, though. Man, it's creepy.
Amazing. Well, what can you tell us? Who were your role models and breaking the boundaries and learning viola and crossing genres and then sort of growing your social media? I guess there could be 3 different people, right? So who would be the main ones?
There have been so many people. I think my first role models were actually a lot of Asian YouTubers in LA. Timothy De La Ghetto, Just Kidding Films, featuring Bart Kwan, Giovanna, I forget her last name, but she's married to Bart. You got Joe, you got David So, Timothy De La Ghetto, like all these comedians out here in LA that were YouTubers. I used to watch them when I was younger.
Amazing.
And they inspired me. Like I just wanted to be cool and funny like they were. I've always been inspired by comedians. Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., a lot of really great, brilliant. Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they're coming back. You know, they're coming back because of Netflix and stuff like that. So I'm really excited.
Yay.
But in terms of music, I've been inspired by so many people. I would say for music, it's been like, at least for my own music, it's been like Tyler, the Creator, A$AP Rocky, Childish Gambino being the biggest one. Yeah, and there's just so many people to name. I've been listening to a lot of Denzel Curry, listening to a lot of J. Cole and the whole Dreamville roster, like Boz and Jid. Shout out to Jid. He's an incredible lyricist. Incredible. He reminds me, and I'm okay with going on the record, but I feel like he's like our generation's Andre 3000. I really believe that.
Nice.
I grew up listening to Outkast. Growing up, they were the first and only hip hop group that I listened to because they're from Atlanta. My mom was like, they're super dope. So, and then when it comes to social media, I saw, it wasn't any particular person, but I think the one thing that I've always felt about myself, and I think that many people can benefit from, was I never thought to myself seriously that I couldn't do something. I always thought that like, maybe if I worked on it, I could be decent, but I never disqualified anything. And that's why I had the audacity to at least try. And I think that a lot of people never even try. And when they do try, they expect massive success. And when it doesn't come, they stop. But I think the biggest thing is to try, evaluate, get feedback, try again. Evaluate, get feedback, try again. And continue to do that until something happens, right? And fortunately for me, social media is very, like, you'll know. And I was very fortunate to be very early in the Instagram movement, at least for classical music. And so I got a lot of feedback, and it was very addictive. It was very positive. It saved my career because I probably would have quit without it. I probably would have quit because it's just too hard. Music's just way too hard. Like you bust your butt for scraps, and yeah, you're doing what you love. But when you're doing what you love and you still can't pay your bills, it ain't worth it. It's not worth it. But if you're paying your bills, barely doing what you love, and there are people that say, no, I actually believe you are an artist. I'll believe it. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Huge difference. Completely.
It's a huge difference. Yeah.
That's
the connection.
So I've read somewhere too, don't remember where, maybe it was Gary who said that successful people didn't just happen overnight. It's, again, trial and error. and it's those that who failed the most that eventually came out. It's like the basic principles of sales. Like if you give up, if there's like 100 people in the building that you gotta, go through to make one sale, and if you give up too early, like you only get through half of that and you don't make a sale, it's if you push just a little bit and there's that one person in the next room that will, buy whatever you're selling, then that's it. That's success. And it's just pushing and seeing that you're keeping your vision in mind, as in don't give up too early.
Yeah, and I think they don't giving up. Yeah, that meme or like that picture where it's like you've got two guys, they're both cutting with a pickaxe through the ground.
Yeah.
One guy turns around with his head sunk down, his pickaxe by his side, and he's walking away.
Yeah.
And little did he know that he was right about to strike diamonds, but he just quit.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
like that's the kind of idea. It's like, okay, you have to come to the realization that you're gonna die one day, number one. Number two, time doesn't stop. 10 years is gonna happen whether you like it or not. And if you're on the other side of those 10 years, you're lucky, okay? So calm down and just do something today.
Right.
One thing that I find is a lot of people are content with, once they leave school, they think they have all the skills. Mm-hmm. In actuality, you leave school and that's when your life begins, and that's when the learning begins, right? And so I spend time every day trying to learn something new. I try to read for at least 30 minutes a day. I've been reading many books since I left school. Many of them having nothing to do with music, a lot of them having to do with marketing, having to do with how to, and I hate the idea of brand, because the word brand really, it feels pretentious. It feels like it's synthetic, right? Mm-hmm. I like to think about, I can't think of a better word than it, but I can describe it in a way that makes me feel a little bit better about it. And a brand is, for me, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's world building, right? It's storytelling. Mm-hmm. Who are you? What do you stand for?
Yes.
Why do you stand for it? And how, and why is that important, right? Mm-hmm. And when you can tell that story over and over and over and over and over again, then people start to buy it. And when they start to buy it, then you've established a brand, right? Yes. People believe it. Play, homie, play. Mm-hmm. Stop worrying about how people think about you. Mm-hmm. Like I said, time is going to pass anyway. You think that you're going to be this good forever? No, you're going to get better. So just don't worry about it. Play, homie, play. Just play. Just throw it out there. Document it. Just see where you are right now today. Mm-hmm. Evaluate it. Validate it. Be content and enjoy the journey. And then do it again tomorrow. Then do it again the next day. Play, homie, play. That's what I want to promote to people through that hashtag campaign. Mm-hmm. And I think people kind of get it, and I'm figuring out how I can keep continuing to develop that.
That's great. Well, absolutely. So just play, just go for it, tell your story.
Just play.
Yeah,
just play. Don't think about it too much. Most people, like, remember I was like, if you don't know what to do, do some research and learn. Yeah, that's important. But also, there comes a point where it's like, man, just shut up and put up or shut up. Do you want to be a YouTuber?
Go on YouTube.
You know what a YouTuber does, right? They make videos. So if you want to be a YouTuber, you have to make videos. Yep. Even if they're bad. And there are like 3 YouTube videos that I've been proud of that I've made. Everything else, I kind of cringe. Cringe at my own content, because I'm like, oh, because it's yours and it's your baby, and you're like, I could do that better, but I have a deadline,
Yes, absolutely. I'm in the same boat right now. I'm about to release a couple music videos. That's some that I'm sure of, others not so much. We'll see how it goes.
Ones you're not sure of tend to be the ones that blow up.
Yes.
You have no control over it, so you got to take your hand off the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know that, that's something so simple that you just threw together last minute is what people like most.
My biggest video that I've made on my channel is how to get into Juilliard, and I knew it would be my biggest video because that's so clickbaity, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
And I think I gave good value, which is why I made the video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that it still continues to be my most successful video. Mm-hmm. But I think that sometimes too. So if you know you have a viral idea, put it out before somebody else does, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit of like, figuring out your limitations, but then just not giving a F and just going for it.
Yes, absolutely. So instead of, sitting there and wondering, oh, I wonder if that's going to be good, or you have to try. You just have to throw it out there.
Yeah, well, it's probably not good. Right? So how is it going to get better? By doing, right?
Experience. That's right.
Yeah, so it's like, my stuff isn't that good. Okay, nobody's stuff is good. Now what? Oh, okay. So should I just do it? Yeah, you should have done it yesterday. Okay. Yeah. That's what I just tell people. It's like, look, just put it out.
Yes.
It's probably hot garbage, but any creator that you love, most of them have deleted their early stuff. Like, you can't find it anymore, right?
Right. Exactly.
But they learned by doing.
Exactly. From most people that I talk to who are on YouTube especially, they say the first year or 2 years of putting stuff out there is just testing, it's just experimenting, just figuring out what works better, what doesn't. And then that's if you're working actively. It takes about a couple of years.
Yeah, and if you were like me and haven't posted a video in months, it's like, you're not getting much better.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I would like to play one more song. So this is going to be the Figure 8, and maybe we can talk about it.
Figure 8 heartbreak. Awesome.
Yes, Figure 8 of heartbreak.
Japanese sunset to my left, the breeze on my neck, hear the beats in my head. Say cheese, can we please? Phone flash and freeze. Traveling on the waves of time past. Go dimensions quicker with the board I'm about to crash. Tidal forces pushing me under, I need to grasp. Memories on the surface of my mind. Thoughts of you drowning at the vast ocean of time. I'm putting pen to paper in a lab far away. Shouldn't let it hum me like it does to this day. Words I'm overdue, I never had the nerve to say. I guess that's just the price I had to pay. I never understood the tears in your eyes. They were like frozen snowflakes coming on through the night. My terror steam was just for you. You listened to it right. The ending meant for you was real, but now we're out of time. Cause I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Yeah, I'm moving on. It's now or never. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on because you're gone forever. I'm not here to talk about your faults. See, way back when we could have had it all. A Dutch love was not enough. Many things I should have done, so you always knew that you were the one. Should have told you that I loved you every day. For romantic every way. Proposals to make you quake. Fireworks over the lake. Midnight trips to steak and shake. Thinking you was a mistake. I'll forever cherish Portland, Maine. On again, off again, back and forth infinity. Figure 8's of heartbreak drove me to insanity. Wasn't right for many years, not a single fling. Even started saving green so I could get a decent ring. But that was many years ago, it doesn't matter now. I look back at what we had and can't help but to smile. Love and miss your mom and dad, tell them I said hey. I'll always put a piece of you in every note I play. Cause I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. It's now or never. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. And I'm moving on because you're gone forever.
that one. So how would you say it came together?
I was sitting in, so I wrote both Duality and Figure Eights of Heartbreak within a week of each other, actually. I just recorded, and I pretty much recorded them both at the same time, but it took me like a year to release the Figure Eights of Heartbreak because I just didn't like it. But it's so funny, that's mostly what it sounded like. It sat on my computer for about a year. I didn't really change much. Added some ad-libs, and I was like, I guess it's done. It's just, I'm very insecure about releasing music professionally under my own name because I don't know what I'm doing. But, like I said, I'm taking my own advice and just putting it out, even if it's hot garbage. So what was going through my head was, honestly the first song that I really had to sit down and listen to the track a lot and just see how it made me feel. It made me think about love. It made me think about loss. It made me think about, how you could be surrounded by people. Like I was when I wrote it, I was in Japan. I was staying in Tokyo. And you could just be surrounded by people and yet be incredibly alone. Yes. And since I was surrounded by people and incredibly alone, I was just caught in my thoughts. And, I thought about this girl that the girl that I really, thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And then I wrote the song about her. And then it just kind of flowed. I went to a park in Narimasu. I just walked around and sat on a bench. It was sunset, and that's why the first lyrics are like Japanese sunset to my left. It's like I'm sitting on a bench and the wind's blowing and I'm listening to the music and I was just allowing it to kind of be a stream of consciousness. And it ended up being a very cathartic, piece of art. And, it had been many years since we talked. It had been many years since we interacted. And I thought I was over her, but I really wasn't. Aww. And when I finished this song, I felt like that was the final step of me moving on, for real.
Nice.
It's funny how life is like that. You have no control over your emotions, but when you're able to use art, sometimes it allows you to close some doors that need to be closed.
Yes. That's amazing. Yeah, I completely can relate to that. So when I was younger, a few years ago, I would write songs. I didn't want to sound
angsty. What?
I would write songs about things that bothered me, and it created a closure. Finally, you can let go. Yeah.
It's like you made this thing, and now the feelings can exist in this thing, and I can leave it behind. Yes. And let this song be a time capsule, but move forward. And it was very healthy. That's why I was like, oh, and it was when I finished this song, I was like, oh, maybe I could just, for me, maybe nobody will ever listen, maybe nobody will buy my music, but for me, this might be pretty important.
I'm watching this guy on YouTube, Brandman. He always talks about how genres are about to die in music and they get replaced by moods instead. So people just look for music that speaks to them in a certain mood, as opposed to nobody knows what's metal, what's classical, what's popular. People don't really know these things. So instead we'll be looking for moods. So that's a branding strategy right there.
It's all about authenticity. And I think it's like with it's like social media. You want to establish yourself when you're starting out in a niche so people can immediately look or listen and know exactly what you're about, right?
Yes.
But then to really hone in on your niche, to really hone in on the level, understanding the ins and outs, the characteristics, and then finding ways to subvert them in interesting ways. Once you subvert them, then you start differentiating yourself from the people in your niche, and then you can start growing from there. A great example of this is if you're a singer-songwriter type person, right? And you play guitar. how many people. That's a niche, but it's a big niche, right? How do you differentiate yourself? Well, if you like are a singer-songwriter, but like does it in a screamo type vocal delivery, but you also throw hip hop drums on it, and it's like, oh, this is the thing, but it's also another thing. And so you can find ways to cross-pollinate your audiences. Then at the end of the day, if the message sucks, nobody's gonna care, right? Yeah. So you also have to make sure you develop good lyrics, that you make good songs, because at the end of the day, that's what people are looking for anyway. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a pure raw feeling, emotion, mood.
I'm bad at. I should not be giving advice on songwriting. I'm not the guy.
Well, actually, I find it when I'm learning something new, like marketing or whatever. Maybe if it's songwriting that was new. So I'm actually better at teaching it as I learn, because later when you've kind of mastered it, you don't care to teach it anymore.
There's a special sweet spot. Mm-hmm. The best teachers are the ones who just learned it because they know what it's like to not know it, and they know what it's like to know it, and then they're much closer to the idea of synthesis. Like how did I bridge that gap, right? Yeah. And so that's why I find that I'm having trouble being a viola teacher to beginner players. It's tough. Right. Because it's been a long time since I didn't know how to pull a straight bow. I know how to do that well.
That's interesting. Okay, well, as we go closer towards completion of our session today, why don't we do something fun? And I like to.
I like to do fun.
I like to put my guests through a special test. So this is something. It's kind of like a rapid fire. But I call it boo or woohoo. So if you make it, we're gonna woohoo. If you don't make it within a minute, we're gonna boo. So
okay. So what am I supposed to do?
You have 60 seconds. There'll be a countdown on, and I'll ask you 10 questions, and you have to give an answer as fast as you can. So don't overthink it. Just like you said, don't think too hard. Just do it. Just play. Just do it. Right?
I'm gonna fail miserably. Well, let's give it a try. I overthink everything.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So, how many hours a day do you practice?
0 to 1.5.
At what age did you pick up viola?
12.
All right. A viola, acoustic or electric? Pick one.
Both. Acoustic.
What motivates you? In short.
Motivates me? My death.
Okay. Name a band or an artist that inspires you.
Childish Gambino.
All right. Which YouTuber you just can't stop watching?
Little Z.
Yay. Your favorite songs to cover. Name 3.
Damn.
15 seconds.
I don't know. There are so many different types.
Okay, moving on. Name 3 people you admire.
Who I admire? Oh, God. Will Smith, Tom Hanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay. Oh, no, we timed out. But anyway, we can still finish the questions, though. Do you like dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right. Name 3 artists you follow on Instagram.
3 artists. I follow thousands. 3, Sam Colder. Mm-hmm. My homie Cup of TJ. Mm-hmm. And my homie Jesse Driftwood.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, well, we didn't make it, so boo. But hey, well, you're
3. You got me on the 3 art. 3 people that inspire. Like, oh yeah. God,
it's difficult. Like, yeah, I know. Most people don't pass that one.
Well, I mean, it's because like I try to take something from everybody.
Yes.
I'm inspired by you and your energy.
Thank you so much. That's so nice to hear.
No, it's like it's good to just hustle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that when people are trying to make things for themselves, not in a selfish way, but also uplift people at the same time.
Yeah.
Those are my people.
Yes.
Those are my people.
Yay.
And seeing them work makes me want to work.
Yay! Well, that's why I invited you, because I was looking at you that way too. Well, thank you so much, Drew. This is such a pleasure. But before we go, what would you say? Do you have like sort of one piece of advice, the one thing that helped you that you would want to pass on to someone who's a new artist trying to make it in the world of social media and generally in the world of music today?
The advice that I would give them is stay in your lane. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Don't get caught up in metrics. Don't get caught up in accolades. Don't get caught up in praise. Focus only on trying to be your most authentic self, while also making this world a little bit better. And that could be by teaching people, by making people laugh. That could be by, just being as creative as possible. But the moment you start comparing yourself negatively to other people is the moment that you kind of lose sight of what is most important. And the most important thing is connection. And really telling the story of what it means to be human, because we don't know how the world's going to turn out. It's very scary out there. There are a lot of things that are happening in the world that are frankly terrifying. Mm-hmm. And so if you're an artist, people need you to tell the story about what is going on in the world. How does it make you feel? How should it make us feel? What can we do to be better? Mm-hmm. Or can you just give us a moment of respite? A moment where we don't have to think about, the fact that the world is, global climate change, the massive global shift to populism, the renuclearization of our world powers, the impending hotspots of conflict in between Korea and Japan, between Iran and the U.S., Yemen, what's going on in Syria, Libya being a failed state. You've got Sudan, South Sudan that got their elections, they've got crackdowns, they've got a shift of power. All these things are going down, mm-hmm. and there are people that are fighting the good fight. So what are you going to do about it? What do you have to say? Are you just going to sit and be a bystander? Or are you going to say something that matters? Are you going to make something that matters? So it's kind of like my advice. Figure out what you want to say and do it in your most authentic way.
Thank you so much, Drew. That's beautiful.
I didn't even go. That was existential af, man. My bad. That got real serious.
Well, that's okay. That's good.
I'll be cognizant, Gotta be aware.
Well, that's amazing. I would love to hear more. And if you don't mind, we do like to invite our artists back. So maybe a couple months down the road, we would love to come back with part 2 and hear more about your current projects. Maybe you'll be doing something new. Maybe we'll hear a little bit more about the, world. The world of that Viola kid. And yeah, so guys, go ahead, follow Drew. Find him on Instagram. I'm sure you already know where, That Viola Kid. Facebook at That Viola Kid. Twitter at That Viola Kid. Go to his website, read thatviolakid.com. Enjoy his music, enjoy his beautiful projects, and YouTube, everywhere. Listen to his podcast.
The one that, yes, can you guys listen to podcasts? If you like dick jokes, it's a one-stop shop, babe. It's a one-stop shop. We're full of them every week. We're just dropping them like.
I'm listening to all of them.
but more than anything, it's a show that is 2 guys who you would expect to have a very successful career, going from Juilliard, and just realizing that everybody has to start from square one when they leave school, mm-hmm. and we're all figuring it out, and it's okay. it's okay to kind of fake notes, fake a couple notes on the way.
Yeah. So tune into Faking Notes Podcast on iTunes. Find them on Instagram at Faking Notes Podcast. I love them. They have amazing guests too. So yay, amazing. Thank you so much, Drew. I'm so excited to find out more, to speak about some things in the future that are coming your way. So I created the podcast to empower and inspire my community as well. So we are warriors. We are inspired by the warrior thematics, and I think that's really very true in today's world. You have to be a warrior of your own life. You have to go for it and, make your way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And have a great day, and we'll speak soon.
So,
Bye.
yes, talk soon.
That's all, folks. If you like Iron Fiddle songs, download them at earromantica.com/music. See you next time.